Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator, actively alienating everyone, in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is a read of a visual novel, Umineko, When the Seagulls Cry. The head and my husband will return very soon. Have you finished cleaning the study? Have you finished cleaning the staircase? My apologies, not yet. Yes, I know, so I had Lunar do it. While you were plodding around cleaning the hallway, she finished cleaning the study and the staircase. That's because, I wanted to clean it properly, so I took some time. Shannon was simple and honest, so she would always carry out her tasks seriously and properly, without any omissions. So, she was always slow with her work. In contrast, Lennon cleverly avoided doing extra work whenever it was possible, so she could complete her jobs with a result that looked almost the same to an outsider, but in a much shorter time. In other words, she was a shrewd employee. Compared to that, it was probably fair to say that Shannon wasn't very shrewd at all, talking back to Natsui when Natsui was in a bad mood. Of course, there was nothing that Natsui couldn't stand more than a servant talking back. Her forehead creased, and she spoke sternly. She didn't talk back. She didn't, yell at you. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't say anything wrong. She didn't insult you. She didn't, complain. She didn't... All she said was... It's like, you asked her, hey, did you clean this one thing yet? No. I took longer to try to clean it well. She literally just answered your question politely, honestly, and gave you the answer. You asked a question. What is she supposed to do? Be mute? There's a difference between someone talking back and having an attitude with you and just politely answering your question. And even then, what's the point of her being polite to you or even being here if no matter what she says, heck, even if she were to just stay mute, you'd still wind up complaining against that? All this does is reinforce that, one, she shouldn't be here, and two, that she's being punished and insulted and looked down on for actually trying to, take pride in her work and do a good job and work hard. So she's actively being talked down to and punished for being a good person and for being a hard worker. And yet her slow, admonishing style of speech was even more terrifying, and finally made Shannon realize that she said the wrong thing. Then perhaps you should aim to do a truly thorough cleaning. Shannon, I order you to clean the reception hall right now. It is an important hall where several pictures treasured by the head are displayed, and where honored guests of the Ushiromiya family are welcome. Clean it thoroughly so that not a speck of dust remains, and so that even you are satisfied. Of course, you will finish before the day is out. Until you finish that and report to me, you will not be permitted any food or rest. Understood? Yes, madam. That is good. Servants should endeavor to only use those words. Because you're not a human being. Human beings have money, apparently. The next time you talk back, your punishment will be even more severe. So with that in mind, engrave these words into your heart. Yes, madam. Thank you for your guidance. You are welcome. Behaving as though her headache was troubling her, Natsui headed off down the corridor. When she couldn't see her anymore, Shannon hung her head and sighed. This is what happened when she had her head in the clouds. Even though I'm bad at everything I do, I should be able to at least carry out the cleaning as well as an average person can, right? Yeah, I feel like the only reason a person should ever stay in this kind of work environment is if they really have no other choice. It's because I can't even perform that very well that I'm crying so pathetically. On the next episode, Shannon fails at tying a noose. But what's even more shameful is that not only have I been unable to perform a single bit of cleaning well, but just now when Natsui was scolding me, I imagined that person appearing and rescuing me. If only George-sama were here. Would he casually step in and save me? Surely he'd show up cheerfully and intentionally acting like he didn't know what was going on. Nimbly change the subject and made me forget I'd ever been rebuked by Natsui for, breathing. I kept envisioning him, suddenly appearing from the other side of the door, or the other end of the hallway. I envisioned the kind of person that would be an appropriate partner for him in marriage meeting, and I envisioned how unfitting I was for him. Ava clearly told me. It's been repeating over and over in my dreams. You're still as clumsy as always, Nason. Milady has been in a bad mood since this morning. She's going to have to take the belt and start beating you. That's just now happened because you talk too much. When you should have just hung your head in silence. Okay, and again, nobody can fucking win here. This guy is like, his whole fucking character profile is that no one likes him because he's antisociable. And yet, Shannon's hated for the exact opposite. It's like, literally, there is no option that's... It's like, is part of the job description crippling depression? And low self... I mean, I guess I'm perfect for that job then. Fuck. Cannon-kun? Cannon-kun was suddenly there. His footsteps are always quieter than a cat's, and he never left any trace of his presence. He probably could have stood there forever, and she still wouldn't have noticed him. The expression on Cannon's face was one of hatred. He made that expression for Shannon, who didn't know how to do it herself. Madam and Lunar can fall into hell. That person knows where Madam checks and only cleans those areas. Her cleaning just now was like that. I know because I saw. She wasn't really cleaning. She's just the worst kind of parasite leeching off your thorough cleaning. You mustn't use such dirty words. Dirty words pollute your clean soul, Cannon-kun. So at least don't use those words in front of me. Okay? Can't say any of that really sound like bad words. Though it does kind of remind me of Light Yagami's dad when he dies, basically saying the death note is a curse. That the act of using it does wind up changing the soul. Heck, reminds me of that intro to the chapter Black Saga of Yu Yu Hakusho. Does anyone else watch anime? Cannon turned away as though sulking. Because that's the only amount of talking anyone's allowed to do, apparently. But I was a little happy. He was getting mad for my sake. Well, you're happy because, he's expressing concern for you, so you're just happy that someone actually, one, cares about you, acknowledges and appreciates your hard work, and actually respects you. Cleaning the reception hall will be tough. I'll help. Thank you. But I was the one Madam ordered. So don't worry. Don't you also have your own work, Cannon-kun? It's a filthy job. My soul was polluted long ago. Cannon then hung his head and bit his lower lip. Just hearing you say, you'll help, is enough for me. If you don't go back to your own job, then you'll be punished as well, and that would make me sad. Shannon knew Cannon's character well. Sometimes he didn't think enough about himself. If I don't refuse forcefully, he'll help me even if it means neglecting his own job. Cannon was a little sad that his goodwill had been rejected, but he realized that what he was doing would only hurt her more in the end, and he gave it a single, small sigh. Understood. Do your best, Nason. I kind of feel like what's next is like... Is Shannon gonna like cook lasagna and burn the lasagna and then start getting like just punched in the face for burning the lasagna? Like what? Understood. Do your best, Nason. Yes. And I am also partly to blame. I feel like the creator of this game, the writer of this story, be like, Lunar keeps ruining my story. He keeps going and talking about random bullshit. You aren't at fault, Nason. No, I am. So go now. Canon-kun's face showed that he still hadn't completely accepted it. But without being any more obstinate, he disappeared. I mean, yeah, it's like, hey, Canon-kun, it's my fault. You know, I'm still alive, so it's like, yeah. Even though Canon-kun came to give me words of comfort when I was down, even so I was dejected again because it wasn't him. That in itself was a sin. It went far beyond any dream the likes of me could be permitted to see. I don't know my place. Shannon, who had neglected breakfast, already felt her concentration begin to waver. But if she didn't finish up cleaning the reception hall, she wouldn't receive Natsui's permission to eat. That cruel Natsui had surely told the kitchen something to that effect. I have to respectfully receive Madam's punishment. That's right, my position in the world is furniture, and I've been intoxicated by a dream that's beyond me. I finished cleaning the hallway and went to the reception hall. Maybe my hunger made my nose more sensitive. I could sense the delicious aroma wafting from the kitchen, even though it was far away, and my empty stomach was encouraged even more. Until I finished up here, I wouldn't get any soup. I just had to resolve myself to doing it. Several portraits were hung in the reception hall. One of those portraits was thought to hold a special meaning amongst the servants. It was the portrait of the witch. That wasn't its true name, but everyone in the mansion called it that. The name of the woman with the elegant blonde hair, drawn as the subject of the portrait, was Beatrice. It was whispered that she might be the former mistress of Kinzo family head, and also that she was the great witch who had given Kinzo the gold of the legend. The witch Beatrice mastered the night on Rokkenjima. She was gracious to those who respected her, but she would surely curse those who made light of her. It was in Shannon's character not to neglect rules and beliefs such as those, so she thought of the portrait of her other master as that person herself and always treated it carefully, treasuring it. And it had become part of her daily routine to tell the witch, who only existed inside the portrait, the secrets of her heart. She was furniture. Furniture doesn't complain. Cannot complain. So she had no right to speak her mind about her difficult days. So she had no right to open her mouth and say those words. So she at least spoke her mind inside her heart. She spoke her mind inside her heart using words she couldn't say aloud, and protested to the formless witch. Why does this feel familiar to me? Then again, I remember... back when I was younger and lived with my parents, I really couldn't talk out loud in my own room. So I would just talk quietly, just move my lips. In my room. To myself. Then again, I would play video games with earbuds plugged into the television. Of course, the witch didn't answer. She didn't console, and she didn't laugh it off. Shannon could only interpret that silence as she liked, as though the witch was responding agreeably. Then again, I've spent a lot of my life in isolation and loneliness. Then again, the most lonely I ever was, my life was when I was married. That was awful. Heck, I got divorced. I think for the first 5 years of that, I spent about a couple hours a day sitting in my son's bedroom, talking to his stuffed animals. Except for, the days he came over to visit, which was for the first year and a half. But hey. Beatrice-sama, please listen to the story of my worthless self. As Shannon wiped the dust from the witch's porches, she spoke that inside her heart. I certainly am incompetent and cultured. Just as Ava-sama said, I am not a person. So maybe I have no right to love. But in that case, why was I given a heart that can know love? At that point, Shannon held back her tears for a moment. The sound of the rain, which had started falling, along with the chill air in the reception hall, made her feel as though her shabbiness had increased another level. Real furniture doesn't have anything like a heart. So they don't have to love people, right? So they don't feel pain. If I'm just another piece of furniture, why do I have a heart? If it's going to be this painful and this harsh, I wish I was never given a heart like this. I see. So a heart was given to furniture. It would seem that even that man is capable of some quite amusing things every now and then. Cackle, cackle. What? The witch that never answered or laughed, answered and laughed. Was it my imagination? Was I hearing things? No, that's wrong. After all, the next words became a voice, and I could hear them not with my heart, but with my ears. Humans have continually searched for the elements that make up the world since before the modern era. It is said that in ancient times the Greeks tried to explain the world with the four elements of the wind, fire, water, and earth. And after that, over several millennia, humans added several elements to those four, trying to explain the world with several interpretations such as the 5 elements, the 6 elements, the 7 elements, the 8 elements, and the 12 elements. But they were never able to describe the one sole truth that exists, the single element. However, a single man appeared by the guidance of a star and finally explained the single element that makes up the world. Know what it is? Oh, who? Shannon fearfully turned around. Right there, she existed. I like both, but I prefer this. Not as an illusion, but as a reality. The contrast made by the lighting made it clear that this was no mere daydream. It's love. Cackle, cackle, cackle. The witch of the portrait elegantly held a golden pipe to her mouth and giggled. She laughed at the ignorance that causes humankind's thoughts to stray far from the most simple answer, that man explained everything in the world with love. That is the single element. That man fully explained how the world was constructed with the smallest possible number. How simple and clear, how splendid, exhilarating, pleasant, and thrilling. This year, the year that man was finally born, is called the start of the modern era. Cackle, cackle. Shannon lost any words to speak. She thought that when first meeting an unknown guest, her first words should be to ask that person's name. But without saying anything, Shannon knew this person's name, so she refrained. No, surely it would be the greatest disrespect for someone who lived or worked on this island to ask this woman her name. After all, she was the other master of this island besides Kenzo. But Beatrice-sama? Beatrice-sama. Indeed. I am Beatrice. Again, do you guys say Beatrice or Beatrice? Even after 1,000 years, I see that people still always give me that look when we first meet. Cackle. The witch giggled at how Shannon's reaction didn't betray her expectations. Shannon realized that she had met with the being that mustn't be met with, and she took a step backwards. That's where the wall and the portrait were, so even as she gazed at the witch's portrait was touching her back. The source of your troubles is love. Love, the single element that makes up this world. In other words, it is everything in this world. When it is lacking, then your world is lacking too. It is no different than scooping water into a canteen with a hole in it. Even if you scoop and scoop, that eternal desert of the heart never fills. It is the original sin that humans are founded upon and everything is made of. Understand? When Adam and Eve put the fruit of knowledge to their lips, love is what they learned of. Because of that, humans were chased out of the garden and became fully human, which means that knowing love and suffering is what makes one human. You, kind-hearted child, you ought to be praised. Now that you have gained this knowledge, you are no longer furniture. You are now human. I recognize that with all the authority of my name. Is it hard for a common person to understand? Very well then. Cackle, cackle. Forgive me. It has been a long time since I have spoken with a human. Allow me to apologize for my talkativeness. Without waiting for a reply from Shannon, Beatrice laughed pleasantly for a while. Perhaps this isn't much way of an apology, but I would be willing to grant that wish of yours, with my power if you so desire. Huh? The meaning of those words surprised Shannon even more than the witch's sudden appearance. I am offering to bring you and the one you love together. Normally, I would demand something of equal value in return. But I'm just going to do out of spite for Natsui. Which, I'm cool with. Kakoga, however, I am in a good mood. And you have never failed to pay your respects to me in the past. That is something worth rewarding. Is that true? Normally, Shannon would have been shocked and struck dumb by this seemingly impossible guest. However, almost as though she was already under the witch's spell, Shannon responded. With my magic, it would be no trouble at all to arrange for you to be joined with the one you love. Yes, of course. Shannon almost said that without thinking, but held back with her last bit of common sense. After all, this is a witch, a sinister being. The witch Beatrice is clearly trying to slip in through the cracks in my heart and take me prisoner. That sort of temptation which so many fairy tale picture books warned me about when I was young is right in front of me now. Fear is also a form of respect. It may be pleasant for me, but we will make no progress this way. I may not differ much from the image of a detestable witch that you hold in your mind. However, I do bestow my favor upon those who respect me. Aren't humans the same? Well, I doubt any human would bestow a favor upon one with such a hostile attitude. My apologies. I didn't mean... Shannon eventually realized how rude she was acting towards this guest, and she finally digested the words that had been spoken to her in a short while ago. You are no longer furniture. Now you are human. As she reflected upon those words, Shannon felt as though the witch understood all her worries. What was that, just now, about a reward? I say that I can arrange for you to be joined with the man who has captured your heart. Think of it as a sign of my gratitude for your diligence in polishing my portrait day after day. Calm yourself. I ask for nothing in return. I am generous. However, though I ask for nothing in return, I do have a request. Look, here it comes. Part of Shannon's heart sent her a warning. This is what all those scary picture books she'd read when she was little had warned her about. Do you know of the small torii in the shrine that have been constructed on the ocean very near the island, which you can see when you gaze at the cliffs? Shannon immediately remembered it. When you reached Rakanjima by boat, there was a torii in a shrine on a reef that was too small to be called even an islet. I'm pretty sure Kumasawa-san told me that story, but I can't remember it well. A traveling Shugenja? Isn't that a Pokemon? A kind of holy man had built it or prayed there or something. Yes, I know about it, but why do you bring it up? I will not explain everything, including the very basics, to one ignorant of demons. Simply put, it's causing me trouble. The truth is, there's a mirror kept inside that shrine. I want you to break it. Oh, that kind of reminds me, there was a mirror that Natsui wanted to give Jessica, but then sort of totally forgot, and then everyone died. It was quite a suspicious request. Shan didn't know the details, but anything stored inside the shrine would have to be something sacred. And she wants me to break it? Why would a witch ask a human for help instead of doing it herself? There was no need for Shannon to speak her thoughts aloud. Beatrice responded to Shannon's reasonable doubt before Shannon could give her answer. The magical power of the mirror opposes my own. I cannot explain it well with human words. For example, let us speak of the differences between utensils. That mirror is a fork and my power is soup. You cannot drink soup with a fork, correct? I mean, if you're very patient, you can, but it just take a really long time. If only the resistance of the mirror were gone, I could produce a spoon ideal for drinking soup. After that, I could drink soup as I pleased and even dig my way out of a rocky prison. What kind of soup do you guys think Beatrice likes? What kind of soup do you guys like? I could even gouge someone's eyes out with it. Was that not the phrase? Cackle, cackle? I don't know what you're talking about. If my poor education is to blame, I apologize. It comes down to this. If you take action and break that annoying mirror from me, I shall grant your wish as a reward. I am in quite a good mood today. You may even change your wish and receive all the gold I bestowed upon Kinzo, if you so desire. Cackle, cackle. I refuse. What? When she heard Shannon's words, Beatrice realized for the first time that her expectations had been betrayed. If you have a reason, tell me. If there has been some misunderstanding, I shall resolve it. I don't really understand the reason, but up until now this island had been at peace, and nothing bad has happened. So even if I don't break the mirror, the peace that has existed until today should continue into the future. Yes, you are quite right. It's just as you say. If you don't break the mirror, the same unbreakable days that have passed until now will continue until tomorrow and the next day. Why don't I give you an absolute guarantee? I shall stake my name, Beatrice, on it. The unbreakable days before this time will continue until tomorrow and the next day, and for eternity into perpetuity. Shannon felt overwhelmed by an eerie illusion. The mirror probably existed for the purpose of restraining the witch. So Shannon broke it. The person who stood to gain was supposedly the witch herself, and yet Shannon felt somehow that she had to do it for her own sake. It felt like some premise had been switched around. Basically, we switched from offer of just reward to coercion. Initially, it was, hey, I want you to do a favor by breaking me this mirror, and I will reward you for it. Oh, you don't want to do that. Well, I'll still grant you the favor and the reward for, I'll still give you the reward for doing my favor. But in addition to you, if you don't do what I tell you to do, not only will you not get the reward I give you, but I will make sure you fucking suffer for it. I will punish you. So at this point, we switched from a bribe to actual coercion. It's a threat. Basically, do what I tell you to do, and I'll give you this great reward. But you don't. Not only do I not give you the reward, but I will punish you. I will make you suffer. And it's like, oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. I would do nothing but grant you a chance to bring your feelings to fruition. It's up to you to decide whether you'll break it or not. If you break it, I shall grant your wish. If you don't, the tomorrows that came before today will continue for all eternity. Your wish will not be granted for all time. Do you understand? Do you see what I mean? Cackle, cackle. The witch was speaking. She was pressing Shannon, saying she must break the mirror if she ever wanted to be united with George. It was a declaration that Shannon's feelings would never be brought to fruition unless she broke it. Please, stop it. I don't want to hear something like that. It was never my goal to cause you pain. Oh well, when love leads to madness, that is when we see the true charm of humanity. Enjoy that emotion to your heart's content. However, if you wish to borrow my power, feel free to break that mirror at any time, and then you may yell my name and awaken me. I will certainly keep my promise. This way, you should have no complaints, right? I won't force you to decide right now. Easy, is it not? Well, that's actually very agreeable of you, Beatrice. Anytime you have someone make a decision, you should give them time to think it over. It's very unfair to expect someone to make a decision right away. Was it really such an easy thing to do? No, it certainly wasn't. To Shannon, who was burning with infatuation and worried by love, being tempted constantly and eternally with the way out was truly a cruel trial. I won't set a time limit on that promise, but there is a time limit on the magic that can grant your wish. That limit is not of my making. The one you love will decide it himself. You see my meaning? No, I don't understand. I mean, if he gets married himself. When the one you care for finds the partner in whom he ought to pledge his love, that limit will be reached. I may be a witch, but I am no demon. I possess no magic to tear apart a pair of those who love each other. Cackle, 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 cackle. The one you love will soon be attending a marriage meeting, yes? You may have stronger feelings for that man than anyone else in the world. However, that doesn't mean you are the most suitable partner for him, does it? I know with whom he will be having his marriage meeting. That girl is the most suitable for Ushiromiya George in the entire world. She came from a good school, achieved good grades, and possesses both composure and thoughtfulness. She is more beautiful than you, wiser than you, more suitable than you. Well, this is just really not good for Shannon's self-esteem. How could an ignorant, incompetent, and cultured girl like you be suitable? I feel like, Beatrice, you're trying to cause an emotional provocation. I feel like this might count as manipulation. You know better than anyone. There are none less suitable than you. That's kind of harsh. Like, I think Shannon's really nice. Even imagine that you and Ushiromiya George could be joined is sinful. And foolish, foolish, foolish. Know your place. Have you forgotten to be grateful for your education? Know your place. George is the eldest grandson carrying the father's blood. Okay, the main point is this. You're trying to make it clear that you were listening to Ava. He's a person with who may bear the burden of the Ushiromiya family someday in the future. To answer to that expectation, he has studied tirelessly, entered a wonderful college, and is getting wonderful grades. Did you really think you could snatch George away, you uneducated, incompetent, unqualified, uncultured servant? You know, Beatrice, Shannon can't break the mirror for you if she kills herself. Giggle, giggle, cackle, cackle, ha 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 ha. So stop it. Don't bully Shannon. Who the hell are you? At that time, Shannon held her head, trying to protect her heart from the blade of Beatrice's words. Cannon read in front of her. Cannon didn't care who this woman was. If this was an enemy tormenting Shannon, whom he loved and respected as a sister, nothing else mattered. Cannon's also a really cool person. Cannon-kun, stay back. This person is... Ellipses. It seemed Cannon also realized that the being standing before him was the witch of the portrait, and also that she was something to be feared. I simply wished to give Shannon a chance to claim a reward, but it seems I said too much and I ended up hurting her. I must apologize for that. But I shall leave behind that promise as a reward to you. I like the music in this game. I am very strongly considering for a thumbnail just a very close-up of Beatrice's tits. This is gonna be like, that'll be the thumbnail. It's just zoomed in cropped picture of Beatrice's boobs. If you need my power, call me at any time. I have already told you how. Well then, let us call it a night. Hostile gazes may be pleasant, but they damage your beauty, yes? Cackle, cackle, cackle. Disappear. I don't know who you are, but you're threatening Shannon. Don't ever show yourself again. Cannon's words seemed to deeply annoy the witch. Watch your language, lowborn. I may be gracious to those who respect me, but I am brutal to those who do not. While she still smiled, the witch's face began to twist itself. Then an oppressive feeling that couldn't be noticed with any of the five senses gradually filled the room. Even though they couldn't understand it, they immediately realized it was something terrifying. When you swim in the ocean and something large passes by in the water beneath you, you want to escape to land even before you learn what it is. That's exactly what this was like. But please stop, Beatrice-sama. Cannon-kun is still a child. I apologize for his language. Cannon placed his body between the witch and Shannon. There was a tense sweat on his forehead. At that time, the witch certainly held Cannon's fate in the palm of her hand. She didn't even need to lift a finger. She held a grasp on his fate so tight that a single twist of her smile could easily crush it. Cannon understood that as well, so he started sweating. His knees felt weak. However, Beatrice abruptly released that feeling of tension and laughed. Very well. If you ask, I will forgive you just this once. Cannon, is it? In deference to her, I shall forgive you tonight and send you off. You ought to thank me. Well then, let us call it a night. In parting, I shall leave you with a small souvenir. Hold out the palm of your left hands, you two. When Beatrice grinned broadly and snapped her fingers, their left hands stretched out in front of them against their will, and their palms opened. It was a strange sensation, as though only their left hands now belonged to someone else. It felt like only their left hands had become puppets, which were then being pulled by strings hanging down from the ceiling. Well, what are you trying to do? Cannon resisted, but he couldn't retract his hand out of his own free will. Don't struggle. It will be over soon. When Beatrice held her pipe aloft, a gold-colored sparkling dust came out of the smoke and hovered in the air. That sparkling eventually became several gold butterflies. The beautiful butterflies danced freely throughout the reception hall, forming a fantastical and beautiful world, and the two of those butterflies alighted on the palms of Shannon and Cannon's hands. Question marks? Ouch! God damn it! There was a sharp pain as though they had been burned. When the two of them tried to examine their palms, that hold on their bodies, which had been there a second ago, had gone without a trace. Mark? What is? There was now a tiny burn mark on the palm of her hand, and it was shaped like a butterfly. Well, what is this supposed to be? Apparently, Cannon had the same mark on his hand. He stared at the witch hatefully. A simple greeting. I have no hidden motive. It is nothing more than a bruise, so it will heal in just a few days. There's not even a need to care for it. I made that mark so that tomorrow you would not forget that I was truly here and that I made a promise with you. An encounter with me can be quite shocking. Sometimes, when the next morning comes, people try to think of such an encounter as a dream or an illusion. You ought to consider this slowly and carefully, Shannon, and you should probably take a good rest, look at my mark tomorrow morning, and try considering it again. I shall not coerce you any way. You should freely decide your future by your own will. Still, to think that one could obtain the object of their desire for such a small price. Surely this would annoy, to no end, the great artists who write plays about blighted love. Cackle, cackle, cackle. Well then, let us meet again when the chance arises. How entertaining it is to have a conversation again after so much time. Goodbye, furniture. Ah ha 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 ha. Beatrice's body crumbled like smoke and blew away. It was golden smoke, a cloud of gold butterflies. They scattered in all directions inside the reception hall, leaving a golden splash before disappearing into thin air. After that, only the cold silence was left. It was so silent that it made both of them think they might have been daydreaming until just a moment ago. Which is why the witch had left those marks. She had done so to make it impossible for them to think as a daydream. As Shannon and Cannon remembered the butterfly bruises on their hands and the pain they felt when they had been made, they kept standing still, stunned. And from that moment on, Shannon was tormented by days of suffering and conflict. What? Well, until next time, guys. Bye. And I hope anyone listening to this you have all the hugs and head pats you could ever want. And make sure to sleep well. And drink plenty of water. Bye.